Citizens of the lighthouse, I bring you excellent news. The outer atmosphere shows no signs of contamination. Congratulations, you have survived the nuclear apocalypse. The planet is safe again.
Hey guys, I guess it's time to start talking about Season 7 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a lot that we know so far. Not really a lot, but we know some stuff about the upcoming season. But because of the things that we know, there are certain conclusions that we could make. And finally, there are a lot of predictions that we could make over here. I mean, predictions that are not necessarily gonna hold true, but at the very least, they'll make a lot of sense. Okay, let's get started with what we know so far. Now, as of the end of Season 6, we know that time travel is involved. We know that they're going to be in 1930 or 1931 as Season 7 starts, and we know as well that we've got an LMD Coulson. Now, in a recent event, Patrick Warburton did make the mistake of slipping up and stating he's going to be part of the 7th season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, we know that Patrick Warburton is the very same actor who portrayed the role of Rick Stoner on Season 6, that guy in the S.H.I.E.L.D. base in the lighthouse, the guy from all the recordings in the lighthouse, the guy who acted as a tour guide to all of them, Team S.H.I.E.L.D. that is, when they made it back from 2091, now the very same guy who gave Coulson the walkthrough through that menu, the very same menu that Coulson made a mistake on during the Confederacy invasion. Now, I'm not really sure if everyone remembers, but this guy's name is Rick Stoner. Rick Stoner, on the pages of the comics, happens to be the first executive director of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's the 616. Now, the thing about Rick Stoner as well is he's originally a friend of Nick Fury's, a comrade of Nick Fury's, but then he ends up being his worst enemy. When it comes to him as well, I believe actually, that the story of John Garrett on Season 1 was kind of based on Rick Stoner. Feeling cheated, feeling like he was left behind. That's all pretty much John Garrett, and that's all pretty much Rick Stoner coming back for his revenge. That's definitely the story of Rick Stoner with S.H.I.E.L.D. and the story of John Garrett with S.H.I.E.L.D. But there's also another bit out of Season 4 that does feel very much inspired by the story of Rick Stoner in the comics, which is pretty much all about the agents of Hydra Arc. Now, as part of Rick Stoner's revenge in the comics, he decided to lead Fury to a project, one that is based on what we know in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube in the comics. And that project, that was all about creating this other reality, a fake reality. And that was pretty much all about trapping Fury in there. There was a conflict in there as well, just like there was a conflict within the framework, once everyone started waking up. It's kind of a little bit different, but in so many ways, it is pretty similar. Now, are we gonna get a bad Nick Stoner, an evil Rick Stoner? I don't think so. I think that Rick Stoner is gonna be this good guy. He's gonna resemble the idea of the first director of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though in reality, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that is, we do know that the first director of S.H.I.E.L.D. was Peggy Carter. However, though, there is the option that this is going to be an all-new timeline, a different timeline, because they're going to 1930 or 1931, they might change something, and that might lead to ripple effects through time. So yeah, it might end up being the case that Rick Stoner is actually the first director of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that, though, brings us to another thing, the formation of S.H.I.E.L.D. It had nothing to do with 1930, it had nothing to do with 1931, so that means that multiple trips through time are going to happen there. That's the question that everyone was asking after the ending of Season 6. How are we ever going to see Agent Carter or see anyone out of the Agent Carter series, like I mentioned in that crossover video, if all they did over there was travel to a time in which Peggy Carter was basically about 9 or 10 years old? I mean, that's kind of impossible. Now, the argument that I basically kept making then was that it is kind of impossible if that's the only case, but it kind of makes a lot more sense that they're going to travel to different points in time. We might actually see a lot of characters, not just from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, but rather after that. We might see Ward, we might see Trip, we might even see Jeffrey Mace. A lot of things, a lot of appearances have been made possible by opening this door. But that, though, does bring us to the other character that we're expecting to see based on that photo that Ming-Na Wen posted on Instagram like a month ago and then removed right away, which is all about those gift bags that they gave the casting crew of the series close to the wrapping of the series, wrapping of the filming of the final episodes, and next to the one that had the name of Ian DeCasticar on it, there was one that had the name of the actor who portrayed Daniel Souza, and none other than Agent Carter. So it is a great possibility that they do bring that character out of Agent Carter on the series, And there's definitely a possibility that we might see more, going in order of most likely to least likely. I'd say a young Howard Stark, Jarvis, and then finally Agent Carter. I mean, that's a possibility, not a huge one, but it is nonetheless a possibility. Now, one of the things that makes this a huge possibility is that Agent Carter was introduced on the TV side. I mean, yes, she was introduced on Captain America, the First Avenger, first and before the TV side, but she was first introduced on the TV side. Her backdoor pilot was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it makes it kind of possible that this kind of crossover does happen, that we do see Agent Carter on the series, and it does still make a lot of sense. But here though, and before I start making predictions, is my wish list for characters from old seasons, previous seasons, to make appearances on the upcoming season, and in order of those I wish for the most to the ones I wish for the least. So first and foremost, we've got Bobby and Hunter. I'd want to see Bobby and Hunter on the series. Maria Hill could be someone that I'd like to see on the series. Kind of keeps a little bit of a link with the Marvel Cinematic Universe if they do return to the original timeline. And if they don't, the past is still a common factor between both timelines because the divergence of the new timeline on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did happen close to the end of Season 5. So yeah, I think it would be a good thing to see that. I'd like to see the real Coulson again, one from the past. Maybe we get to see Coulson in May yet another time before, Tahiti and whatnot. But definitely on this list and before Coulson does come Trip. I want to see Trip again. I'd like to see Trip again. I'd like to see Ward from the past again. But because we have an LMD Coulson, there is definitely more that I'd like to see on this list before I talk about Coulson, the real Coulson that is. Ada is one of them. I'd definitely love to see Ada. I'd say I want to see the Ghost Rider. It is possible that we might see the Ghost Rider because, this might end up leading into the Ghost Rider spin-off series. But in the end, we're getting a spin-off series for the Ghost Rider, so I'm not really fussed about seeing him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that being said though, let's talk about what I expect to see on the upcoming season and what I don't expect to see. I don't expect to see the snap. I know a lot of people are like, next season is probably gonna end with the snap, or we're gonna see the snap somewhere in the middle of the upcoming season, but I don't think we're gonna see the snap. I mean, everything that they've been saying, they've been so coy about it. Like, yeah, we're gonna kind of reference it. We're gonna sort of reference it. There's no straight out, we're gonna reference the snap. There's no straight out, we're gonna reference Endgame. There are just phrases like sort of and kind of and, in a way, and all of these phrases kind of hint at the idea that they're not going to tie in with any of these, but they might actually do something different, like possibly parallel the story of Endgame, in a way. So yeah, I think that time travel over here is going to be similar to Endgame. I don't really think it is the fix. I think it's the way to find the fix, like go to the past, do something, find something out, figure something out, and then come back to the future and kind of fix what broke because of the invasion of the CHRONICOMs to Earth and making it into Chronica 3. So yeah, go out there, find the solution, and come back with that solution, and then present us with one big battle that's going to be the end of the season, at the very end of the season that is. Honestly as well, and I did mention that on a previous video, I do think the argument that if it does not reference this, then it's bad, it's not good, that's very silly. I did say that before. I did say it's a very shallow thing. I'm gonna stop watching if they don't reference Infinity War or Endgame. That's the silliest argument you could make. I mean, if you're not watching for the story, then you're watching for the wrong reasons. Because the reference usually ends up being like 1 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute in total on an episode, possibly 3 to 4 times in a season overall, which puts us at what? Let's say 10 to 15 minutes in an overall runtime this upcoming season of 520 minutes or more. So even if for a moment I do assume that next season is going to have a major tie-in, is going to have a big reference to the movies, then I'm thinking over here, if you're watching for just that reason, then at the very best you're wasting 97% of the time that you're going to be watching the series in order to get references that are going to occupy 3% of the watch time you're going to spend there. That's super silly. That's not a good reason to watch 540 minutes for those 15 minutes. But here though are a couple of other things. This situation with Coulson, LMD Coulson, is kind of similar to the situation with LMD May. When Holden Ratcliffe sent her into S.H.I.E.L.D. And at first she did not know that she was not the real May. She did think she was the real May. And that was all the way up until she discovered that she was not. And then there was all that emotional stuff with her. Now, most of that time, Coulson did not really know that she wasn't the real May. I mean, he did realize it at some point, but he didn't know it from the get-go. And that's the one major difference over here. Like, May is gonna know this is not the real Coulson. Maybe at first, where she just wakes up, she's not gonna realize this is not the real Coulson. This is an LMD Coulson, but she's gonna find out soon enough. But Coulson, though, is not gonna know right away, so it's kind of like a reversal of roles. They always do that with Fitzsimmons, they always do that with relationships on the series, and now they're doing it with this relationship with May and Coulson, giving us the story on Season 4 where Coulson was the real deal and May was the LMD, now giving us the opposite. You know, May is the real deal and Coulson is the LMD. But there's still more over here. I mean, there is the option that we get this one guest star from a previous season that's kind of gonna shake things up. Like Jiaying, for example, Daisy's mother, you know, before she came the Jiaying that we knew on Season 2. Maybe we're gonna see something of the sort, like possibly both of Daisy's parents, and that's most probably going to have a certain emotional toll on Daisy. Now, to be honest, this suggestion wasn't really mine. I mean, someone suggested it on Discord, but I found it to be interesting. Like, this kind of thing could provide for a lot of emotional turmoil, and could also provide closure by the very end. Think about it, it's not just Jiaying, it's not just Daisy, it could be Fitz and his father, it could pretty much be anyone. But now, though, that I've mentioned Fitz, by the end of Season 6, Fitz was nowhere to be seen. Everyone was wondering, where is Fitz? Why another separation? This time, though, the separation is kind of different, because the separation is self-imposed. Fitz and Simmons seem to have a plan. They seem to have chosen to be separated on their own volition. Now, I believe that next season's arc is going to be split into two arcs. The first arc is going to be in present day. That one is going to be all about Fitz, all about Piper, and probably all about Flint. That one is going to be all about resisting the CHRONICOMs, resisting the invasion or the occupier. But the other one, though, is going to be all about traveling through time. This other team, S.H.I.E.L.D. team, traveling through time. The point over here is that they've got two plans, Plan A and Plan B, and that's exactly why Simmons should not know where Fitz is, because Fitz is the failsafe. Whatever he's doing, that's the failsafe. If she knows and if she's captured, she's just gonna give it all up. That was not about Simmons being an LMD and all of that stuff, all those theories that came out the moment that we watched Simmons on the finale of the season. That was about what she went through over the past couple of years, having strengthened her. I mean, she did state we had time, so that time pretty much kind of strengthened her, kind of made her the leader that she needs to be, in order to, and I assume, go back in time, save these people, you know, the rest of the team, take them back in time, and try to find a resolution for everything that went down in 2019. But here, though, is another scenario, one that kind of fits with that scenario I was talking about earlier. You know, they're doing something parallel to Endgame. They're traveling back in time to bring about something or to figure out something that's gonna save the day. When you think about it for a moment here, the possibility is that she left Fitz back in present day in order for him to kind of set up things in order for their return. They went to the past in order to figure out, to bring about what is needed in order to defeat the CHRONICOMs in present day, and hence why the separation was needed. One is needed in present day in order to lay the groundwork for their return, and the other one, she needs to travel back in time, figure out what to do or what to get, or maybe she's already got something on mind that she could pretty much obtain, go back to Fitz, and change everything. But yeah, though, we've got our regular trope. There is a separation, after which there's going to be a reunion. But the final thing, though, that I want to talk about for now is all about the fact that the ending of the upcoming season is going to be a bittersweet ending. There's probably going to be a death. I don't think it's Fitz. They've done that before already. I think it's going to be Coulson for one thing, or at least I think Coulson is going to be one of the people to go by the end of the season. LMD Coulson, that is. That's almost certain. I mean, he has a purpose. He's going to serve it. No matter how much they missed him or didn't miss him, they're probably going to end up believing that keeping him after he serves his purpose is kind of a little bit sick. So yeah, I'm thinking they're going to let go of Coulson by the end of that season. But in my opinion, though, a bittersweet ending does not constitute the death of an LMD Coulson. I don't think it's going to be Simmons. I mean, they've done enough separations almost at the end of every season, and the only season that did not end with a separation was Season 3, so what they did next was separate them on Season 4, and then separate them again after their reunion, or right after their reunion at the very beginning of Season 5. And that leaves us with Daisy, and I don't think they're going to do that with Daisy. They're going to leave that door open for one specific reason. they might need to use that door on the new Ghost Rider series, so they're gonna leave that one open. Mac and Yo-Yo are a major possibility. I'm always keeping them as a possibility because they are the only two, one of whom you could do without with the series ending. Like, you could lose them, you might not need them. If you need them, it's going to be very limited. If you need them for another series, that also might open the door for Mac to be another Ghost Rider on the Ghost Rider series. The guy's already got that kind of experience on his resume, even if for a limited time. But that leaves us with Deke. I'm so tired of trying to guess that Deke is going to die. I'm so tired of people trying to guess that Deke is going to die. So I'm just gonna guess over here, for once, that he's not the person to die. Not by any chance. But that though having been said, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the news that I presented at the very beginning of this video. You know, the entire thing about the return of Rick Stoner. Let me know what you thought of these predictions, my theories, my thoughts of what's going on and what's to come. Let me know what you think is gonna come on the upcoming season. Let me know as well if you did like this video by dropping it a much appreciated like, subscribing to this channel, and make sure while you're at it to enable notifications in order to get updates whenever I upload a new video, publish a new community post, or start a new live stream. But until the next time that you tune in for another one of my videos, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in to this video, and have a great day.